Michael Cohen says he was blindly acting on Mr Trump's direction, which he claims took him down a dark path of committing crimes. US politics analyst John Barron explains.
Major legal implications because in reaching this plea agreement that has led to a 3-year sentence, Michael Cohen has implicated individual one as a co-conspirator in these campaign finance violations, specifically the payment of $130,000 to adult film performer Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about her alleged affair with Donald Trump before the 2016 election. Michael Cohen broke various banking regulations by essentially using a line of credit attached to his personal mortgage to make that payment, on the understanding that he would be reimbursed by President Trump or representatives of President Trump. So that's not just a breach of campaign finance, but it is also a breach of banking regulations. He says Trump, individual one, as he referred to him, but we know that to be Trump, directed him to do it. Secondly, there was this payment of $150,000, which was made by the National Enquirer to a second woman who had an alleged affair with Donald Trump, Karen McDougal. That paper today, in light of the Cohen conviction, has also entered into a non-prosecution agreement with the Southern District of New York to say, yes, that's absolutely right. We've previously denied the fact, but yes, we paid Karen McDougal $150,000 to buy her story about her affair with Trump and then bury it, a so-called catch and capture ploy, a way of securing the rights to a story and never publishing it. That's important as well because, of course, it was the National Enquirer that was one of Trump's earliest backers and was also running very negative stories about Hillary Clinton, including saying she only had months to live, that Ted Cruz, another opponent of Donald Trump, that his father had essentially shot JFK and so on. So there are multiple layers to all of this, but the bottom line is that as of now, it's reasonable to assert that Donald Trump is an unindicted co-conspirator to a crime that has led to the imprisonment of a man who was his personal attorney up until May this year.
Wow. Now, this is also the first substantial prison term from Robert Mueller's inquiry. And in fact, there was a statement from the special counsel's office today that might concern the president.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we don't yet know what Robert Mueller knows. But we do know that Robert Mueller, in his sentencing submission last weekend in the Cohen case, said he's been very, very helpful. You should give him a lenient sentence. The Southern District of New York, which is leading this investigation into Michael Cohen, they were actually saying he hasn't been that helpful at all. They're wanting to continue to get more out of him. So we're at a very, very interesting stage, and the debate is now underway as to whether constitutionally the president can be indicted while in office. Some constitutional law experts, like Lawrence Tribe, for instance, who used to lecture both Barack Obama and Ted Cruz, he is saying that, in fact, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can not indict a president, so you can go ahead and do it, given that we've effectively got a court deciding that we accept the evidence that says that he is also equally legally liable in this Cohen case.
Are we any closer to knowing when Robert Mueller will finish his investigation?
People have been predicting that Mueller is going to wrap up his inquiry for well over 12 months now. It's been going for more than 18 months. Some have speculated that we are reaching the end game with these, the ending of a cooperation agreement with Paul Manafort, with a sentencing now for Michael Flynn, who has been cooperating, the former National Security Advisor. We just do not know, because unlike so many other parts of the Trump administration and investigations into various alleged wrongdoings, the Mueller inquiry has been tight as a drum. We really just have what these heavily redacted court submissions are saying, which tell us nothing about the potential timeline. So we'll just have to wait and see whether this has days, weeks, months, or even years to go.
Hundreds of police are hunting for a gunman who escaped after a terrorist attack in France. 2 people were killed and 13 others injured in the assault at the popular Christmas market in Strasbourg. The 29-year-old suspect was on a security watch list, and there are now fears the man may have already fled the country. Here's Europe correspondent Bridget Brennan.
While Strasbourg mourns the victims of yesterday's violence, armed police patrol checkpoints along the German border. They're searching for this man, Sharif Shakat, Wanted posters describe him as an extremely dangerous individual. Police say the 29-year-old is the key suspect behind the attack in Strasbourg, his home city.
À plusieurs reprises.
He opened fire several times with a handgun and also used a knife to kill and seriously injure people. The gunman shot at 4 soldiers who returned fire, injuring him in the arm.
But he slipped away from police, catching a taxi from the scene, sparking an urgent manhunt. Shakat was on a national security watch list and had faced jail time in France, Switzerland and Germany over a string of crimes.
He's been involved in 67 cases for various actions that have been marked by violence. He'd been radicalised and was being monitored.
This attack has shaken the people of Strasbourg. For hundreds of years, the city has warmly welcomed thousands of visitors to its Christmas markets.
I think Strasbourg is a symbolic city in Europe, and the Christmas market is a great symbol of our culture. They ruined our Christmas.
We know that we're not safe anywhere despite all the security measures. It's impossible to counter the actions of a madman.
France's security alert has been raised to its highest level.
Yesterday's killings serves as a painful reminder to us that the threat of terrorism in Europe remains acute and that attacks can take place at any time.
Politicians in Paris pause to remember the victims of this senseless crime. Strasbourg's markets will continue trading, but they'll be heavily policed in the lead up to Christmas. Bridget Brennan, ABC News.
Sri Lanka's